Welcome to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey from vision to reality. I'm Kelly Jackson, your guide on this path of self-discovery, transformation, and intentional living. Here, we explore everything from mindset shifts and personal growth to spiritual alignment and entrepreneurship, sharing insights, stories, and actionable wisdom to help you live a life in harmony with your dreams. Every episode will dig into what it means to not only dream big, but to actually consciously create the life you envision. Let's turn your dreams into real life. There are over 7,000 spoken languages in the world, from Swahili to Spanish, from Hindi to Haitian Creole. They have languages we have studied, inherited, or long forgotten. But there is one language that transcends dialect. It's one you have always known. It's one you were born fluent in. And it's the language of energy. You didn't need to be taught it because your body already speaks it. Your spirit already knows it. And the more we start paying attention to this universal language, the more we reclaim our own inner knowing. So today, we're remembering how to speak the language that lives beneath words. So let's get into it. Energy is the first language you ever spoke. No matter where in the world you were born, before you had words, you had energy. Think about it. A newborn baby doesn't understand English or French or Mandarin, but they absolutely understand energy. They know when a room is tense. They can feel when someone holds them with love or when they're being held by someone who's disconnected. They respond to tone, presence, vibration. And the same is true for animals, right? Your dog doesn't understand your apology in words, but they can feel your remorse. Like, have you ever accidentally turned and totally kicked or tripped over your dog? Because I have. That happened yesterday. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. They get it. Your cat doesn't respond to your reasoning, but they can feel your energy shift when you're anxious or when you're calm, okay? Energy was your first language, and it's still the most honest one that you will ever speak. And even, this is another thing about energy. Even someone who cannot hear or does not have the ability to speak or does not have the ability to write or to read, some of the things that we associate with language, they still speak the language of energy. They still communicate in the language of energy. They can still read the language of energy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Reading energy is like learning a language, though. And just like learning a new language, tuning into energy can feel awkward at first. Now you might be wondering, wait, you just said we were born understanding it. And now you're saying we have to learn it? And that's a beautiful question. And the truth is, you never stopped speaking the language of energy, but the world around you might have taught you to ignore it. And you were taught to prioritize logic over instinct and to explain things instead of feeling them. And so it's not about learning something new. It's about remembering what's always been there and rebuilding trust in your own perception and peeling back the layers everything, unbecoming everything that the world told you to be type of thing. Now, that being said, let's get back to it. So the more you practice, the more fluent you become. Again, we're talking about reading energy is like learning a language. So the more you practice, the more fluent you become. And you start to notice things like, she smiled, but something felt off. Or I left that conversation feeling drained, even though nothing bad was said. Or this decision looks right on paper, but my gut is saying no. This is what I'm talking about, okay? That's energy literacy, and you can sharpen it. Just like learning Spanish or Italian, at first you overthink it, but soon you start to feel your way through it. Or in my case, Portuguese has been what I've actually, today, the day I am recording this, I will be getting my 1,000 day streak. I just realized that 1,000 day. Y'all know I love repeating numbers, so I had to screenshot on my Duolingo yesterday when I had a 999 day streak. 999. And no, I'm not fluent. And no, Portuguese is not the only language I'm learning, but that is the one I have my, as of today, 1,000 day streak on. Now, and if you're not using Duolingo, I 10 recommend it, because I honestly do, just like I love, I wish I spoke 100 languages. It would just be amazing. I don't. Audrey Hepburn, I think she spoke like 5 or 6. I've always, that's fascinating to me. I think that's amazing. I have some friends who are also multilingual like that, 4, 5, 6 languages, and it's just so cool to me. Now, back to energy though, at the language of energy, because that's what we were talking about. Energy doesn't always need to be decoded with logic, okay? Sometimes it is simply felt, and that feeling is its own kind of wisdom. Everything is energy, and it is always speaking. So let's zoom out for a moment, okay? It's not just the people. Everything is energy. Everything carries a frequency. You have walked into a home before and felt the heaviness before anyone said a word. You have entered a yoga class or a place in nature and immediately softened. Like your nervous system could finally exhale. You have picked up clothes or objects that carried a certain weight or a certain joy. Energy is everywhere, and it's always offering information. That's why music can move you to tears, even if it has no lyrics. And that's why a photograph can make you feel seen or shaken. That is why the same room can feel totally different depending on who is in it. Energy is a presence, and it leaves an imprint. And when we start paying attention, we realize the entire world is speaking to us. It's crazy, like the good kind of crazy, okay? There's a saying that I'm reminded of. When you walk into a room, let your energy shift the whole vibration of the space, okay? I don't know why that was so hard for me to get out. When you walk into a room, let your energy shift the entire vibration of the space. And obviously, we mean do that in a way that you're going to positively shift the energy of the space. And just by walking in, like your presence alone, your energy alone can shift the entire vibration of a room, of a space. It really can. And I know you know that because you have been in a space before that one person walked in and either they brought the joy, this person showed up and it was like, whoa, the whole energy shifted in a really spectacular way. And then you've had the experience where someone walked into a room and it's like, whoop, the energy shifted in a completely different way just by this person entering the space. Okay. Human energy is a conversation. And so now I want to come back to the human experience, okay? Every single person is speaking with their energy, even when they're silent, and sometimes especially when they're silent. I just can recently think of a situation I was in where I told the person that I was beside that your silence is speaking volumes, okay? So I want you to think about the last time someone said, I'm fine, but you knew they weren't because the energy behind it was tight and it was closed or it was sad. That is the real conversation, okay? Energy doesn't lie. It whispers when words mislead. And it's the truth beneath the tone. It's the presence beneath the performance. You have met people who light up a room. I know you have. And not because they're loud or not because they're charismatic, but because they're present. And you've met others who drain a room, even if they're smiling. I know you have, and that's not to judge. It's to remind you we're all in energetic communication with each other all the time. And the more fluent you become in your own energy, the more you can read the energy of others with clarity and compassion. Okay. Energy doesn't lie, guys. It's where the real power lives. Because when your energy and your words don't match, people can feel it. You can say all the affirmations in the mirror. You can post the quotes. You can dress the part. But if your energy is armored or hesitant or collapsed inward, for example, that is what is getting received. This isn't about being perfect. It never is. It's about being congruent. When your energy matches your words and your truth and your presence, that is when people trust you. That's when you feel free. And that's when you become magnetic. Not because you are trying to be something, but because you're allowing your energy to be a mirror of your truth. And the more you listen, the more you align. So here's what happens when you begin living from an energetic lens, okay? You stop chasing. Hallelujah. And you stop forcing. You start feeling your way into decisions. And you start trusting your own internal compass. And then your life begins to flow from that place. And you meet someone new, and instead of thinking, does this person check the boxes? You ask, how does my body feel in their presence? And how does my nervous system feel? Does my nervous system feel safe around this person? You walk into an opportunity, and instead of analyzing it to death, you notice, is this lighting me up or is this draining me? Simple questions. you become a translator of energy. And suddenly life feels more honest and more connected and more free. Okay? You know, I said free and something came to mind. So your shadow. Even your shadows have energy, okay? Your unspoken grief, your quiet shame, your anger that you've never been allowed to express. It all has a frequency, and that frequency can be felt. When I was creating Mi Sombrace, I wasn't thinking in words initially. If you know, they each of the beings do have stories and biographies, but that came later. When I was first creating Mi Sombrace, I was translating energy through art, through sound, through color, through the spaces between what could be spoken. I was translating energy. Shadow work is a part of learning this language too. It teaches you to listen to the parts of yourself that are still whispering from beneath the surface, and it teaches you that your energy is not just what you show, it's what you carry. And you can try to hide your energy. It doesn't really work, though. When you become fluent in your own energy, you can begin to shift it and heal it and express it. And I really love that. You know, the moment we shift from just understanding energy to managing it, especially in shared spaces and relationships, we give people real tools to protect their peace and stay centered and not get swept up in the chaos of others. So here's how we can expand our understanding of managing your energy in a world full of energy, okay? Because let's be real. It's one thing to tune into your own energy in a quiet room with incense burning, and another thing entirely when you live with someone or more than one someone's who's constantly slamming doors or yelling or radiating negativity like a space heater in July, okay? So how do you stay grounded and loving and true to yourself in environments where energy feels thick and dense and chaotic or misaligned? So here's a little deeper dive into that, because I know this is a very real thing. You know, some of us are in seasons of our life, either by choice or by necessity or by just that we're kind of haven't yet found the strength, courage, or made the choice to pursue something different for ourselves. So here we are, and we're just in this environment, and there is one or more persons that we are sharing a space with, whether that's a working space, a living space, whatever. And this person is, for lack of a better word, it feels toxic to you. Yet here you are. And, you know, energy hygiene is self-respect. So just like you brush your teeth and shower, tending to your energy hygiene should be a regular practice, okay? Not a reactive one. And especially if you are in an environment with a person or persons like that, then this is important, okay? You don't wait until someone else's anger gets on you like smoke from a fire. You have got to clear your space daily, okay? Energetic hygiene can look like grounding, breath work, shaking out your body, like dancing, shaking, right? Or simply stating out loud, I release what's not mine. 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 It is not about fearfully avoiding other people's energy, okay? It's about strengthening your field so that you're not a sponge You're a lighthouse. If you think about a sponge, it soaks everything up, okay? You do not want to be a sponge. You don't want to be soaking up other people's negative, dense, thick, chaotic energy. You want to light yourself up from the inside out, and that you're radiating light and this positive energy, and it's almost like creates this force field around you, like a protective, right? Like you're protected by your own energy. Now, not all energy is yours, and that's the point. When you are highly empathetic or sensitive or simply awake, okay, you can feel everything. But just because you feel it doesn't mean you need to carry it. So imagine walking through a crowded room. You might hear 10 conversations at one time, okay? But you don't stop to engage with each conversation. You can acknowledge that someone is angry or anxious or shut down without making it your job to fix it or to absorb it. So practice saying to yourself, that's their energy, mine is sacred. That's their energy, mine is sacred. And you can anchor into your own frequency. So when someone else's energy is chaotic, the most powerful thing that you can do is become a stabilizing force. In other words, you don't have to match their energy. In fact, the more grounded and present you stay, the less power their storm has over you. So you can try this. Place your hand on your heart and say silently, I am grounded. I am safe. I stay with myself. I am grounded. I am safe. I stay with myself. Make your body the safe space and let you be the calm in the room. Not because you're performing peace, okay, but because you are rooted in it. You are rooted in peace. Also, create energetic boundaries, not just physical ones. So, energetic boundaries aren't always about cutting people off or walking away. Sometimes it's internal. So you can be in the same room as someone and still protect your field. Your energetic field is what I mean. So imagine that you are imagine a golden bubble of light around you. Okay? Visualize it as a filter. Only love and truth come in, and only your authentic energy flows out. So, can you imagine that? Like right now, just imagine this golden bubble around you, and this is your filter. Only love and truth are coming in. Only your authentic energy is flowing out. Okay? This, the more you practice, this isn't a one-time thing. This is something that when you build the practice and the habit of just protecting your energetic field in this way, then it becomes your nature to do this, you're going to discover how much this really helps you. Boundaries can be as simple as not engaging in drama, pausing before reacting, or choosing to disengage emotionally while staying physically present. And I'll give you another example. So, for instance, and sometimes, here is an example some of you may relate with. When I say it's a season, sometimes it's the season, and I'm sure my mom and dad will raise their hands to say, oh yeah, we know what you're talking about. So sometimes like you have a teen in the house. That teen's energy with all their hormones and everything they're going through, just having that one teenager in the house can completely shift the energy of the house, right? So, but that's a season. And so that's just what I'm saying. There are ways to, there are ways to work with your energy, their energy, protecting energy, disengaging emotionally while still staying physically present. And I'm talking about if I'm thinking back to, and I'm sure you were all teens at one time too. Think back to some of your less glamorous teenage moments and, the way that you acted in your energy and things that you did. And you'll know what I'm talking about, right? So, that's not saying like emotionally remove yourself from a teenager's life or a person in your space. You understand what I'm saying? You just might have to say, all right, I'll be physically present, but like, what did we say earlier? That's your energy. Mine is sacred. Okay. Now, transmutation is power. Sometimes we don't have the luxury of avoiding challenging energy. We just don't. But we do have the ability to transmute it, okay? Have you ever walked into a room and decided, nope, we're shifting the vibe here? Okay, that is energetic leadership, okay? Transmutation can look like turning judgment into curiosity, or irritation into compassion, or tension into humor. You don't have to fix other people, and I would advise you not to try, okay? But you can be an alchemist. You can turn heavy into light, and you can turn fear into presence. And you can lead by example. Okay, I want to go back a little bit. So, because I mentioned this about when I was a teenager. So when it's in the home, it's the deep stuff, okay? Because I want to acknowledge this. When the difficult energy is coming from someone you live with, it hits differently. It just does. We can't skip this conversation because it's often the people closest to us whose energy affects us the most. So, first things first, know the difference between managing your energy and abandoning your truth. There is a fine line between staying regulated and spiritually bypassing your own needs. So, if someone's energy is consistently aggressive or belittling or harmful, managing your energy doesn't mean you stay silent. It means you stay centered so that you can respond clearly and courageously. And look, when you're faced with aggressive or belittling or harmful energy, it is easy to get pulled into a reactive state. Trust me, I know. However, managing your energy means prioritizing your own emotional and mental well-being. And by staying centered, you can maintain clarity, like respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. And you can set boundaries and communicate your needs and limits clearly. You choose your battles. You can decide when to engage and when to disengage. And ultimately, preserve your energy. Protect your emotional and mental resources. And taking these approaches will allow you to respond courageously rather than react impulsively. And you can speak your truth and express yourself authentically without aggression. You can stand firm and assert your needs and boundaries. You can show empathy. You can understand the other person's perspective without taking on their energy. But by staying centered, you can navigate challenging situations with greater ease and confidence and clarity. You can also use your space with intention. Even if you only have one room, that room can be a sanctuary. Clean it often, set intentions in it, use sound and scent and light and symbols to create a vibrational boundary. You are allowed to claim energetic sovereignty, even in a shared space, okay? You know what just popped into my mind? Viktor Frankl. He was a Holocaust survivor, psychiatrist, neurologist, and he is probably best known for his book, Man's Search for Meaning, which recounts his experiences in Nazi concentration camps during World War II. And his work emphasizes the importance of finding meaning and resilience and personal responsibility. And his insights continue to inspire people worldwide, like even today, right? Offering a powerful perspective on the human search for meaning and purpose. I say all that to say this, though. One of the takeaways from that book is, according to Viktor Frankl, one of the most fundamental human rights is the right to choose one's attitude in any given situation. He believed that even in the most challenging and uncontrollable circumstances, individuals have the freedom to choose how they respond, think, and feel. I don't know. I felt like I needed to throw that in there. So energy doesn't lie, and you don't have to pretend. If you're feeling drained or unsettled, trust that. You're not being too sensitive. You're perceiving truth beyond words. And if there is someone in your life who has been telling you you're being too sensitive, okay, guys, again, no. You're perceiving truth beyond words. And do not let anyone undermine you or speak to you in a way that you forget your own truth and that you believe what they're telling you, that you're being too sensitive. Nope. No. Okay? The invitation is not to judge or label others. It's to listen to your own nervous system, because it will always tell you when something is off. Your nervous system will always tell you when something is off. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about energetic leadership. I mentioned it earlier, but let's talk about being the one who shifts the vibe. Okay. What if you're not here to just deal with other people's energy? What if you are here to lead through energy? Leadership in energy doesn't mean dominance, okay? It means coherence. It means the field around you is so rooted in peace, love, clarity, or joy that others unconsciously rise to meet you. Have you ever noticed how being around certain people just feels safe and inspiring? That is not an accident. That is energetic coherence. Okay? Start by being that person for yourself. The inner tone sets the outer resonance. So, as you move through your life, I invite you to notice not just what you're doing, but how it feels. What's the energy that you're bringing into the room, into your relationships, into your work? What's the energy you're allowing into your field? And is it aligned with your truth? Energy is a language that you were born understanding, and you are remembering how to speak it more fluently every day. Your awareness is your power, your coherence is your leadership, your energy is sacred. Always protect it, always honor it, always let it guide you home. I want to talk about something else. Resonance. Resonance is such a powerful, intuitive, and deeply felt concept, and I think that it's going to add a little dimension to everything we've already discussed so far. So let's get into it. Resonance is real, and you can feel it. Resonance is that feeling when something just clicks, when someone's words or presence or energy seems to land right inside your body like, yes, this, I know this. It's not logic, it's not checklist compatibility, it's frequency. And you felt it before. That moment that you walked into a space and your whole body exhaled, okay? Or when somebody said one sentence and it unlocked something inside of your soul. That is resonance. And think about that resonates. Like, even the way we use that word, like, oh, that really resonates with me. If someone shares a story, oh yeah, that resonates. It sits well with me. It resonates. Resonance isn't always loud, okay? It can be subtle. It can be quiet. But it vibrates through you. Resonance is alignment in motion. And it's when the energy of something matches the frequency you're holding or reaching for. You don't have to explain it. You just feel it. Resonance is the yes that lives in your body. And I know what I'm going for in my life right now with business, with partnerships, with anything I'm doing. It's got to be a full body yes. It's got to be a fuck yes. It's got to be a hell yes, right? It's got to resonate. It has to live in my body. It has to be that much of a yes. And when it's a yes, a full body yes, then it resonates, okay? That's what I'm talking about. You can't force resonance, and you don't need to. Here's the truth. Resonance cannot be manufactured. You can't try to resonate with someone. You either do or you don't. And that's a gift. Okay? If someone's energy doesn't land with you, that doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them wrong. It just means your nervous systems, your values, your truths, they're tuned into different stations. One of you owns country, one of you is on R&B. Okay? You understand what I'm saying. Y'all know the whole radio metaphor. It's such a great metaphor for energy and frequency and vibrations and tuning into stations. And just like how every station exists, even you can't see it, you can't hear it. You get into your car and it's silent. Then when you turn it on and you turn on the radio and you turn the knob, you can tune into the frequency. But all of the broadcasts are already there. They're always there, just like Wi-Fi is always there. You have to tune into it, okay? Okay, I'm gonna get off on this, but what I'm saying, it's just you're tuned into different stations. It doesn't make anyone bad or wrong or whatever. It's just different stations. So trying to force resonance will leave you exhausted, drained. It's like trying to harmonize with someone who's singing in a completely different key. I don't know that much about singing, but I hear them say this when I've watched the singing shows, okay? So I'm not going to pretend like I've actually tried to harmonize with another person because I've never tried to do that in my life. But I hear other people say it. So for those of you who do understand that example, there you go. Now, or who have lived that example. When you stop chasing resonance and start honoring it, you begin to create a life that feels lighter and more magnetic and more you. So allow resonance to be your compass in relationships, in creativity, in business, in your spiritual path, in everything, okay? You don't need to overanalyze a no. You only need to trust the yes. And keep in mind, too, that resonance is a form of leadership. So the more you live in resonance with your own truth, the more people will feel it. Because resonance is one of the most powerful forms of leadership. And that's because it's not about telling people what to do. It's about becoming someone who feels like truth. People will be drawn to your energy because it reminds them of their own. And that is resonance, okay? When your embodiment wakes up something inside of them. And this is why doing your own inner work is never selfish. It's sacred. Because the more you come home to yourself, the more you become a mirror and a magnet for others to do the same. Let's talk about something important, especially if you're someone who feels everything, okay? Empathy doesn't mean you have to carry it. Empathy is a gift. It is what lets us connect and understand and feel with others. But when empathy turns into enmeshment, you lose your center, okay? You stop being in your own energy field and you start living in someone else's. Here's how you can tell the difference. So empathy says, I feel you and I can hold space without losing myself. Enmeshment says, I can't tell where you end and I begin. You can be deeply compassionate and still grounded in your own body, and you can hold space without absorbing someone else's chaos. So the work here is learning to feel without fussing and witness without rescuing and support without self-abandoning. Healthy boundaries aren't a wall, they're a resonance protection. And you deserve to stay in your own signal. And I will say something else. Inside of Self-Love Uni, one of the, and I do believe this is a pretty powerful module and segment that we get into. It's towards the end of the program, but it's about walls and boundaries. It's about, putting up walls and boundaries and how, boundaries are transparent and walls are opaque. And I'm not going to get into the whole nuances of it here, but I'm going to say this, just kind of what I'm saying here. For one, you're invited inside of Self-Love Uni. It's so powerful. It is you getting to know you. It is you unbecoming everything everyone else ever told you to be and becoming everything you were truly meant to be. I can't even say enough wonderful things about Self-Love Uni. And especially, I really do believe that section on boundaries and walls, it's powerful. And I thought of it when I was saying this, that healthy boundaries aren't a wall. They're a resonance protection, and you deserve to stay in your own signal. And your body is also an energy compass. This whole conversation about energy, your body has known it all along. Your nervous system is reading and responding to energy constantly, even if your mind can't explain it. It might be a tightness in your chest or butterflies in your gut or a heaviness in the room. It's all information. And so when we override it, we second guess, we rationalize, or so often we, override it, we second guess, we rationalize. And if you want to live in alignment, you have to honor the language your body speaks. You can't override it. You can't second guess it. You can't rationalize it. You've got to start by noticing it. Where does your body expand? Where does your body contract? What energizes you? What drains you? Your body is an energetic oracle. You just need to start listening, okay? And over time, the more you trust it, the clearer the signal becomes. When you begin to lead your life based on energy intelligence rather than obligation or fear or even logic alone. Okay? You start living from your truth. So, if all of this feels familiar, if you are nodding and saying, I've always known this, but I didn't know how to name it, that's because this is your first language, energy. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to master it. You simply have to remember it. Slow down. Listen in. Notice the way a room feels, the way your body responds, the way someone's presence lands in your chest, the way your own energy shifts when you're aligned. This is the language beneath words, and you were born fluent. I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. Share it with somebody. If there's any part of this that you enjoyed, share it. Share it in your stories. Send it to somebody in a text. Share the love. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It. I hope today's episode sparked something powerful within you. Remember, every step you take towards your vision counts, no matter how small. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a second to hit that subscribe button or leave a review. That would be amazing. Or share the podcast with someone who's ready to bring their dreams into reality too. And if you're looking to dive deeper, connect with me on social media at Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, or at BE_what you want. Or visit dreameditthenreallifedit.us for more resources on aligning your life, business, and dreams. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep manifesting your dreams into real life. Love you, friends.